like to call the January meeting of City Council to order. Please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us have a moment of prayer, please. Our Heavenly Father, as we enter into this year 2022, we want you to provide us with the guidance and wisdom to make decisions that will be beneficial for the citizens of this community. Also, we'd like you to lay your healing hands upon those of our city and whatever illness they may have, so that they can return to better health and lead a life of quality. And be with our troops, wherever they may be stationed, as they protect us so we can enjoy the freedoms that we now have, and protect them from any danger as they go about their duty. And last, Lord, please invoke your blessing upon this community so that citizens who live here in the city of Cherokee Village can continue to enjoy the quality of life that they have. In thy name we pray, amen. Have a roll call, please.
Roland. Christophe.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Heffley. Ishmael.
Here.
Thompson. And Smith. Martin.
Here.
Carter Savage.
Mayor.
Mr. Martin?
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the rules and put on the table the discussion we had in executive session December 16th, 2021, and put it to a vote.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Christophe, to bring on the table, waive the rules and bring on the table discussion from executive session from the December meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we can pursue that discussion.
Okay. Do you want to?
Yes. Action was debated on expending funds to benefit the 3 firefighters who retired, and the council members agreed to do that. So we need to vote on that expenditure, which amounts to $17,000.
I make a motion we go ahead with it.
I hear a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Christophe, to approve that expenditure for the benefit of the retiring firefighters. Since we're spending money, a roll call vote, please.
Christophe.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, next item is approval of tonight's agenda.
Do we need to speak to that vote?
Yes. Entertain a motion for approval. Is there any additions? Mr. Christophe? Here a second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Christophe, second by Mr. Hill, to approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is approved. Next item, public comments on the agenda. Anybody in the audience wish to comment on any agenda item? None? We'll move on. Then approval of minutes from the December 16th minute. Yes.
I don't know
if it's not related, ma'am, if it's not related to the agenda, then you can make a public comment at the end of the meeting. Take a look.
CherokeeVillage.org.
Well, actually, I mean, is it the department reports, is it like animal control, or like, and property, planning and zoning?
That's on the agenda.
Okay. Well, in
Please
regards,
hold Mike.
in regards to the planning zoning thing, like I've lived in this area for 18 years, owned the house on Hiawatha in 2006. The property next door to me is owned by Howard Basswell, as long as another property 2 doors over. Anyway, he always has these renters that have trash and crap all over, like the backyard doesn't get cleaned up. That's where my screen porch sits, that's where I get to look at it. I feel like I live in the slums. I've reported it 19 times, it really still has not ever been cleaned up in the last over a year, and I'm really sick and tired. I think they need to fine like these property owners, example, Howard. I did a little bit of checking. He owns 90 properties in Sharp County, 161 in Fulton County. And he doesn't take care of his crap. Fine him $100 a month or something like that for every time it's not cleaned up. He might even get, renters to do something or do something, get something done. He runs off to Mexico. They say he didn't have an address for his whereabouts. He was in for New Year's Eve.
You only get 3 minutes. So
Yeah. Anyway, something needs to be done about it.
Had you reported this to the planning and zoning?
Yes, yes. Thomas, back when Cody or Corey was there, yeah.
Well, currently, Thomas is out with the virus. So
Well, this-
when he
I'm talking-
returns, we'll investigate and see what's going on. We've got certain procedures we have to follow, and we just can't automatically go in.
I know, but it was the date was supposed to have been up, the notice, the 15th of this month. And I have seen no change in that yet.
But I'll have to wait till he returns before I can take any action.
Okay. What about a different subject? Do you want me to address
Could I
that
get a-
one up here?
Could I get a name and address of that?
Chris Studebaker, like the car,
All right,
132 Hiawatha.
all right, thank
The
you.
one I looked at is 130 next door.
Thank you.
I'm familiar with that. That's been brought up, and probably citation issued more than once. Okay, next item is approval of minutes from the December 16th meeting.
I motion we approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Hill to approval of the minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes approved, be filed for audit. Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
None?
No.
Okay. Next item is our financial report.
Mayor, I have not received any packets or information for the last 2 months. So it's kind of hard for me to say anything on anything if I don't get them delivered to me or sent to me or however it is done. I don't know how it
You're not getting anything on email?
I asked you for an email address from the city, and you gave me a response that
Yeah, we're not gonna do that for security reasons. you know.
well, but we do have, and the city is paying for a email server, which is separate from the server that all the data is put on.
Yeah.
So, and.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Martin, but it's going to have to be that, you know, every individual up here has their own email, and that's how it's going to have to be transmitted.
Then I would like to put on the next meeting, discussion about email, because there's, several things that are, advantageous for the city to have. One, if we get Freedom of Information Act request, like happened 4 years ago when you were in office, they don't have to try and pursue it through an email that the city does not own or take care of. So if something does happen in that regard, since the city owns and takes care of the email, then the city has the ability to pull those files. Second thing is, if I get off council or somebody replaces me, then all that email is sitting there under the city guidance so that the next person has whatever correspondence I had, or the person that's in charge of that, could be the mayor as far as I'm concerned, can determine what in that information is to be saved or not saved. But we are paying for it. We have the service. There's only 8 of us on council, and that can be easily changed in and out. I have 23 years background in computer service. I'm not asking you to go on the server that the city uses for all their financial files. I'm asking for the city to use it on their email server, which they do have.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martin, have you provided an email to the mayor the way the rest of the council has? Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Yes?
Because,
Okay, just a moment. If you don't want to provide an email address, have you attempted to come up here to get a copy from the city clerk for the documents that you're asking for? Because if you refuse to provide your personal email to the mayor, as the other 7 members of council have, then you have an automobile. You can come up and you can ask for a physical copy from the city clerk. So if my system has gone down, which it has in the past 7 years, and I have not had access to the email from the mayor, I simply have gotten in my car, driven down to City Hall, and asked the clerk for a copy of the document I'm concerned about. Is that beyond your capability?
yes, sir, it is beyond my capability, because every other municipality will provide that information to the employees.
We're here in this municipality.
We'll cease this debate. That's not a business item on the agenda. That can be carried on
I can see.
another time. We're dealing with a financial report. If there are no questions, entertain a motion to approve the report to be submitted for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Christophe, second by Mr. Thompson to approve the financial report for January to be submitted for audit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Report shall be submitted for audit. Next item is the mayor's report. First thing is there's a proclamation to recognize the work of the school boards in the community. I received a request from the superintendent of Highland School District. You should have a copy of that proclamation on file there. If I can get to it here in a second. Arkansas School Board Member Recognition Month, to whom all whom come present, whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and an ever-changing world, and whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students, and whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now therefore, I, Russell Stokes Jr., do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the Highland School Board and do proclaim January 2022 as School Board Recognition Month in Cherokee Village, Arkansas. I urge all the citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. Witness thereof, and sign and put the seal on it, and copy of this will be sent to the school superintendent. I had a brief meeting today with the representative from RDOT regarding the low water bridge project. Again, this has to do with acquisition of some property that the city has out here around the bend, so to speak. And I've turned all that documentation over to the city attorney to review, and will be brought back for your actions. We have a 30-day timeline on this. Normally it would be 60, but it's been reduced to 30. That's all that I have. Next are department reports. Well, I should mention it because it was leading into this animal control thing. Due to the virus, we've had key personnel become ill and out of pocket and not able to perform their duties. Both employees at animal control are out with the virus, so we're having to utilize some outside help to make sure the animals that are there are taken care of, fed and properly, and their housing cleaned and taken care of. Hopefully the two ladies will be able to return to work sometime next week.
Say something about animal.
No, ma'am.
Can't do it during the meeting.
And we still receive donations in terms of dollars from citizens, and we definitely appreciate that. We have a community service report. You can see where the individual's been working and what cost recuperation that we've had from that. Next item is district court. Here again, the virus has played a role there. We had several cases postponed due to that. Not only from the one being charged, but also from our side with people who had written the citations not able to be present. Next report is your fire department report. You'll notice this is a little bit different. Instead of a monthly report, the chief has provided us with a summary of the whole year. You'll probably see that again next month when we have it in the city report, but
Mayor,
yes.
when at the last, what city meeting was he appointed to the position of chief? When was it done? I don't remember it ever being done.
No, I did that.
You're allowed to do that, and I understand, but
Yeah.
shouldn't it not
I
be done by the council?
announced that, I think, in January, the end of December or January, I don't remember
It's
when.
at the end of that meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the fire department report? Did you notice that their two biggest responses are assisting the ambulance service and then public service assistance, which is lift assist. Am I correct, Chief?
Yes, also public service would include any time we assist the street department or.
You're going to need to come up to the microphone since you're not wired for one back there.
Yeah, the EMS incidents is one of the larger numbers on there. Also, there's another line item there for medical assists. Our differential on those two, those are both assisting the ambulance service. Medical assist typically is what I have the guys mark it. If the ambulance is already there, we weren't initially paged, but they call us for assistance because it's a large patient or whatever. Public service assistant consists of lift assist is the bulk of that, but it also consists of any time we assist the street department, like cleaning culverts or helping the PD with traffic control or any kind of other public service assistance. So it's broke down even more beyond this, but this is the subset I like to use because it gives everybody a general idea of the type of calls that we respond to.
While you're up there, why don't you explain to the council members about the shift change?
So all the men were interested in changing their shift schedule. Previously, they had worked a 24-hour on and 48-hour off schedule. They all showed interest in changing to a 48-hour shift, at which point they'd have 96 hours, 4 days off, which that consisted of a lot of legwork on my part to make everything legal with the FLSA and all that, but I did all that work. They just started that this last week. They're all very happy with it. It's helped morale a lot, given our state here as of recent, going real well as of right now. So they've all worked their second shift as a 48-hour shift as of right now. So
What happens when holidays hit and stuff?
we work regardless of that.
If I mean, does pay increase or decrease or?
It's set up through FLSA. We have the option to get like comp hours at the rate of time and a half or whatever it is. Shifts that they can schedule off, or hours they can schedule off, or holiday pay.
Are there maximum comp hours, or it just accumulates in perpetuity?
Comp hours, we try not to use them at all, if possible.
Okay.
We've got overtime and stuff that we tap into for that. So, in amongst that, we also had to change like how vacations are scheduled and whatnot. So, we've made all those changes. We had to make them in the handbook to stay legal with that FLSA. And took care of all that.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I should, before I said that, anybody want to ask anything more? Okay. P.E.G. report. I know you got new construction going on. I can see it in my neighborhood.
Is there a new position that was created, or is he head of two positions? How does that structure work with him being?
I'm having a hard time understanding.
With him being on with him being on P&Z and the road committee, are there two positions? Is there one new position?
He's handling both.
But they're still separate positions.
Right.
Thank you.
He's, the official title is for the one is city inspector, and then he's supervisor at the street department.
I didn't know if that was a temporary where we're looking for somebody else for one of those two positions, or if that's going to be his permanent.
That's, it's still being evaluated.
Okay, thank you.
And since he's been out he was out because in quarantine for a week, and then he came down with a virus. Now he's out because of that. So, no, the report on code enforcement is not current.
Are we taking advantage of the tests that the federal government is?
I'm-
Are we taking advantage of the tests that the federal government is sending out? Are we able to, through the city, get them, or is that just individuals? The test for COVID. You're allowed 4 tests per...
tests?
Tests for COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we had that available here in the city so that they are testing.
No,
themselves.
we have to, you can, I don't know whether the city can order, the households can order those tests, but I don't think the city can.
Okay.
The COVID tests are being distributed out to the pharmacies, but I don't know if our I know my pharmacy has not received any yet, but I don't know how they're distributing those out.
No, I would encourage, if that you brought that up, that to go on the, what's it's called, special.USPS.com
They got a
test/kits.
They got www.covidtest.gov.
Yeah, that's the other website.
Okay.
And you can order one for the household.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to police department report. Anybody have any questions, Chief Wayne? Our new, like I mentioned the last meeting, our new trucks are here, but they're not fully equipped due to supply chain issues. So it's bits and pieces as they come in.
But I did hear that the bumpers came in today. They're the heaviest big bumpers I've ever seen. They're built to order.
It also might be a good time to mention that this not the last snowstorm we had, but the one right before that, where the roads were slick as could be for about half a day, and then it warmed up and everything went away. But we probably had more vehicles off in the ditches around here than I've seen since living here. Within a quarter-mile stretch, just right here in Iroquois, we had 15 vehicles go off in the ditch in a period of 2 hours. And people not exercising good common sense out there driving, for one thing. And I think all of us that have lived here for some time know that our roads are hilly and curvy, and when they get slick, they're treacherous. I don't care whether you got a four-wheel drive or not. That way that was, under those storm conditions, the four-wheel drive wasn't going to stop you. Because I saw a pickup truck going sideways when they hit the brakes. People need to be exercised due caution and have a little patience. Street Department report. I would compliment them on this last bit of snow we had, that they went out that night and addressed our main roads, and then next morning they went around and checked, of course, but fortunately the cold and the wind took care of a lot of that, so the pavement's pretty much dry and not like it was before. But they too have been hit with the virus. I think now everybody, well, no, I'll take it back. Not everybody's back full of work. Next report, A&P report. No report. Airport report. They didn't have a quorum for their December meeting. They did have one for the January meeting. If you read through that, you can still see there's an issue with the trees along the end of the airport property. They're not on airport property, they're on private property. Those of you who were on city council remember that issue came up about a year or so, or 2 years ago, and the owner of the property said he was going to work with it, but apparently he's, according to this, that he's not working with the airport on this. And I don't know what action the county will take. It's kind of under their jurisdiction. So, from an economic point of view, if we can bring bigger aircraft in here, and since Emerson has opened up, and that it think would have some economic benefit, that Quorum Court might want to try to encourage that gentleman to cooperate in some fashion. No grant report. Yeah, the minutes from the December P&Z Commission. Comment there about the trail, the Toei Trail extension. RDOT threw up another roadblock, so to speak, or I shouldn't say that, threw another hoop out there for us to jump through. We thought we were going to be ready to do some actual land clearing, and now they say we need to contact the Corps of Engineers to get a permit regarding drainage. And the lady who sent that email indicated that she didn't see any problem with the permit being granted. The problem would be it'd probably take 2 to 3 months. So, if some of you remember Mr. Eccles, who was here and spoke to the council, he's working on that and trying to find a contact in Little Rock that might speed things up. So, but one of these days we may see a trail out there. When is a good question. You have a report from Tri-County on recycling. There were, they don't indicate it all here, I don't believe, but there were 3 grants approved for Tri-County recycling at the last meeting of the White River Development District, which will help with their funding for the year. Apparently they need a truck out there, from what I gather. Next report is your Welcome Center report. You can note there is a number of visitors to the village last year and the number of welcome packets that have been handed out to new residents. And I know they're selling a lot of items, even though they weren't open during, and not open now, but people come in and administrative assistant here go over and help them out and make a sale. Okay, next item, we know old business, move on to new business. It's that time of the year where we have to reestablish or reaffirm, our procedures and elect a Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we pass A and leave the rest of them for the working meeting we're going to have in February. A lot of these things, I believe that the council should sit down and discuss amongst themselves. And determine if it's a procedure they want to do. I would also like to see the council to set this in an ordinance form, because in the past, not this administration, things were interpreted different ways, and I'd like to see the council set something as bylaws in an ordinance form so that in the future the council has its rules and abides by that, and anybody that doesn't go along with the rules can be subject to a fine.
Well, I can understand where you're coming from, Mr. Martin, but resolutions provide us a little more flexibility in terms of whether and so far, since these have all been established, going back to my first year as mayor, we haven't had any issues.
Yes, we have, Mayor. Last time I asked this council to affirm one of these things, and the lawyer said we didn't have to. By not voting, we affirm it. So why are they even in front of us? So I don't mind setting times in that, because that's part of law and sets there. But the rest of these, I believe we should sit down and discuss and see if it's a resolution that we really want to keep in, and what its merits and what it isn't. And then create a law that sets it, so we don't have to reaffirm these every year, because, again, a resolution has no weight in front of council. You can say all you want now, but a month from now, it could all change. So what's the sense in doing this unless we create something that is permanent?
Well, I have a trusted council would abide with these, and we haven't had
And
any
we've been
problems.
doing great up to this point in time, so I don't see the need for affirming all these things from beyond down. I would just like to make sure our dates are set, and then give council a chance to discuss it. And if they don't want to discuss it, then we don't, and we're off to another,
I'm in position, I want to entertain a motion for reaffirmation.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
you have a motion.
Well, he didn't make the
It isn't
motion.
on the floor, but did anyone on council second Mr. Martin's motion?
I didn't think he made a motion. He was.
yeah, I made a motion just
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
pass
Okay.
A, which sets the date and time, and just leave the rest of it until we have our working meeting.
Take her a second. Hearing no second, then that motion is dead.
Correct.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for,
I actually, I have a question for you, Peter.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a particular resolution here that catches your eye that you feel like we need to discuss, or is it just in general you think we should discuss all?
In general, I think you,
Okay.
and I wrote one of these.
Okay,
I brought it to council, but it's been altered several times since I wrote it. And I've never seen it voted on and done in council since the original, I can't find another version of it that's, the version changes. It changes in the way it's interpreted.
which one are you talking about?
That's how we put people on council. And even in the last 4 years, I can bring video proof of it being done a bunch of different ways. That's just one.
that's not part of this.
Yeah, it is.
See that.
Where is it?
Establishing guidelines for appointments and commissions, committees authorized by the city council. So that would be appointment of a person to the city council.
Are you talking about a resolution regarding citizen participation?
No, it's
Huh?
number C, or letter C.
That doesn't have to do with people being on city council. That's to do with people being on committees or commissions.
It says appointments.
To commissions and committees is exactly the way it reads.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Can these be revisited?
Well, why should we revisit it?
Well, if he has concerns, he can think about them more. If we want to talk about them at the next working meeting.
You can always re-vote on a resolution. It doesn't matter. So I'm saying, what's the sense to do it now? If we sit down in a working meeting,
I feel like there's not a problem with any of these, but I guess I would like to know more about the resolution regarding citizen participation. I mean, I'd like to,
there's not a copy of it attached. You have to go look it up.
right, but I'd like to be better educated on it.
Right,
So
and
but I
that's
need to
why I
do it on my own
think
time, obviously.
we as a council should have the opportunity to do, rather than just blindly accept them all.
Well, I think what Chuck was saying is that we could come back and revisit this at any
You can
time.
revisit anything that's on there.
Yes, this is what we can,
I think we should, I would just make the motion that the umbrella motion that we accept all of them.
What did
I second that motion.
Mr. Smith say?
What did you say before that?
He said he seconds the motion.
What I said before, this will not be written in stone. Just because we pass it today does not mean that it's forever written this way. We can come back and
Yeah.
revisit it.
I mean, I'm definitely interested, but I think right now we just need to move forward.
Are you making a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a motion. I hear a second.
Mr. Smith seconded it. Mr. Smith seconded it.
Okay, second. Mr. Smith made the second?
Yes.
I heard,
All right, a motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Smith to reaffirm these resolutions. Roll call vote, please.
Christopher,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin.
no.
Motion passed.
Okay, next item is election of Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Smith currently serves in that capacity, but we're required to do this annually. So I'll open the floor for nominations.
Is it good to ask him if he wants to do it again?
Well, I'd nominate Mr. Smith again.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hill made a motion, seconded by Mr. Thompson, to nominate Mr. Smith. That's any other nominations? Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion that Mr. Smith be selected by acclamation.
So moved.
Here a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Hill, that Mr. Smith will be retained as Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're not here.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? I don't have a second page. You got a second page on your agenda?
Yeah, it's on that side.
Backside.
Yeah, on the back.
The back of it, I'm sorry.
Surplus
I got it.
property.
Okay, next item under new business is a resolution to declare an item surplus property to remove this from the City of Cherokee Village property asset list and be offered for bid.
I make a motion, we do that, and that's the trailer, correct?
Pardon?
That is the trailer, correct?
Yes.
I make a motion that we do that.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Thompson to declare, oh, Eddie, I'm sorry. Mr. Ishmael, second that motion. To place this item up for competitive bid and be removed from the city asset list. Do we need to read that resolution, Mr. Abel?
No, you don't need to read resolutions.
Okay. No?
You know.
All right.
Then I'd like to make a motion that we accept the last three resolutions.
Yeah.
You want the
To change,
numbers?
change the motion. Okay.
I make a motion that we accept resolution, it doesn't have a suffix here, so I don't know what to say. The resolution amending the general fund for the city of Cherokee, the resolution amending the administration general fire fund for the city of Cherokee, and the resolution amending the police and fire department for the city of Cherokee. This is just a cleanup budget, correct?
Right.
And I make a motion that we accept all three of those.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Mr. Thompson to accept these three resolutions to amend the budget for those departments. And let's have a roll call
And
vote,
that's for
please.
2021. That's
Yeah, 2021 budget. The,
Christie,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
motion passed.
the two departments not reported here, the street department and planning and zoning, due to the gentleman being out, the virus, we'll have to deal with that at our February meeting. And then the final budget for 2021.
Yeah, but we have until February something to do that, correct?
Hopefully, we can have some of that information to discuss at our working meeting in February. No other items of new business. Any comments on other city-related items from the audience? Ma'am, you come up to the podium, please.
Well, about this animal control, especially the dog license, they come to find out they like doubled last year. Well, like, so for me, that went from $10 for 2 dogs to 40, which is, you know, right about the time my work quit. And my suggestion, I know I've got neighbors. One side I got a neighbor with 5 dogs. On the other side I have 2 dogs plus 3 cats running loose now that are fixing to reproduce kittens. And I'm sure none of them pay their dog licenses. I would suggest that, like, they keep the addresses, you know, filed on that, and they could actually go out and collect from some of these people, especially with excessive animals, rather, you know, I'm not especially to badger some little old lady with her one little dog or old man or something on a fixed income, but these people, I don't think, I should have to pay mine and pay for these people that never pay nothing, you know, and they have all these animals. And, you know, it could have been left at $10, you know, but instead, doubling everybody's fees, and like I said, other people are not paying nothing.
Well, what, excuse me, for us to address that, it has to be reported where these animals are.
I did,
You did.
yep.
And here again, the lady's in charge. I don't know, you talk to Chief Lane after the meeting and see what can be done there.
Okay, like I said, I'm not, you know, like, not everybody, but these people have excessive animals and they're doing nothing, you know.
And our law states that the animal has to be under the owner's control at all times, correct? So that means cats too, correct? So if a cat is being let out at night, every night comes over and pees on your garden, that's against the law,
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah, I think it reads at large.
Well, no, I thought the law stated that they have to be under the owner's direct control if they are outside. So that way, if some person opens their back door and just lets their animals out, they're breaking the law. That's a question I'd like answered, if it's possible. Okay.
Well, the neighbors, they do have the dogs pinned up, but the cats are just running free, and like I said, they're starting to reproduce. A lot of times I'm afraid they're trying to fly into my garage when the garage door's open, and there's gonna be a lot more cats.
Thank you. Any other comments? Otherwise, entertain a motion
Mayor,
to adjourn. Oh, Mr. Crispy, yes.
a couple things. I understand Peter's thoughts on the resolutions that we redid for this year, but it would be beneficial for the new council members to have some of them explained out to them, because they're just sort of, it's sort of a blanket thing right here, and they may not have a good understanding of, like, Mr. Heffley. You know, I'm sure.
I don't know about Mr. Hill, but to answer your question, I met with Mr. Heffley and went over those with him when he took office.
You don't know. That's still something that we can do with the working meeting, though.
Correct, that's why
We
we
can
have
still
working
discuss
meetings.
that, right.
To throw stuff out there and see what sticks.
So go ahead and accept it in the umbrella motion there.
If that's what council wishes, that's what council does.
And what is the date of the working meeting? Is that lined
It's the
out?
it's supposed to be the Monday prior to the regular council
6:30.
meeting.
I'll tell you right now.
Here in this chamber.
It'll be,
Because by that day, we should have our agenda.
Well, we pushed it back to March.
No, it was February. that was
it should
voted.
be February 14th, right?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes.
Entertain a motion
We
to,
got counted back.
okay. Come up to the podium, please.
Yes, I'm Joey Webb, and I just wanted to get the feeling from the council, entertaining the idea of putting a multifamily complex on the 22 acres right across the road from the hospital, the old hospital. And, yes, which would be between the airport and the hospital. And I know, I asked about it, and all I get is no's, and I know I gotta go through planning and zoning, but I'm not gonna start down this road and sell this to this investor. I just wanted to get y'all's comments on it.
You'd have to go to planning and zoning first.
Okay.
And if you don't get the response you want on a planning and zoning, you can put yourself on our agenda and then pose it to us.
That's my plan. Okay, I just wanted to, all right, thank you.
Well, I would love to see the city encourage development, because how big is that gonna be? 50 units?
Yes.
Apartments? Cabins?
50 unit all down.
That's tax money to us. Anyway, I make a motion, we adjourn if there's no more business.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Marge, second, Mr. Hill to adjourn. So be it.